Ah, video games. They are something that anyone can enjoy. The ability just to sit down and pick up a controller and have some fun. The ability to hop online and have a session with the boys on games like Minecraft.
Что это, сундуки вот эти остались наверху, заебись вообще. Да ты чё?
Fortnite. What the f? And League of Legends.
The trash! Fix the game!
Now, as fun as these games are, they are nothing when compared to Chop Goblins, a game by David Szymanski. You know, the same guy who made Iron Lung, the video game where you'll spend all your time in a box. And he also made Squirrel Stapler.
What is it? Ah! Shit boner!
Also, Chop Goblins was confirmed to take place inside the head of Iron Lung's protagonist. So, yeah. The best way I could describe Chop Goblins is like a fever dream, because I don't think there are any other games where you can kill both Dracula and your grandma. That'll teach her to get me a packet of Quavers for my birthday. Chop Goblins feels like classic Doom as you move through the levels, unlocking doors and collecting weapons, and shooting, stabbing and blowing up different goblins that can be found throughout the levels. As you move through the game, you pick up different weapons, starting out with an old knife you find in the museum basement, so clearly the game takes place in London, eventually getting a flintlock pistol and a striker shotgun, a stake launcher, and finally a magic wand that turns the game into a point-and-click adventure. You don't even have to get the weapons in order, as one of the late game weapons can be found hidden next to the spawn room. Those aren't even the only hidden features, as each level holds alternative routes or hidden areas that hold coins or ammunition. Exploring hidden rooms can also reveal items needed to continue onwards in the level. And the game's score, Jesus Christ, it's good. It goes with gameplay. It's not just the soundtrack either that's good, as whenever you encounter Chop Goblins, you can hear them ask questions or ask to be avenged when they're killed. They'll ask whether cheese is at random points as well, due to that's what trapped them in the box. And when attacking the old Chop Goblin, she'll yell insults at you like a grandmother would, and in return you can shoot her in the face. So clearly, the game's music goes hard. The game has a PS2 feel to it, something David Szymanski excels at and is no stranger to. Just look at Iron Lung. The game's soundtrack and visuals feel like it could fit into Spyro the Dragon, but let's talk about the story. The year is 1984, and one evening you decide to break into the local museum, because whenever I get bored I too break into a museum, and whilst I'm at it set fire to the local food bank. One dusty chest catches your eye. Once open, a mob of strange creatures leap out of the chest, which was a prison for the Chop Goblins, who were lured inside with the promise of cheese. There for eons, and now they're free. Grabbing a dagger, you give chase. You know what to do. Starting in the basement, you encounter goblins who are quickly killed off, and you can even unlock a late stage weapon if you're observant enough. Moving upstairs, we can find a switch that unlocks a hidden room which holds health packs, ammo, and a secondary way into the next chamber, which is the loading bay. And that also holds a secret area containing the striker shotgun. In the loading bay, we are introduced to the second Chop Goblin, the cleaver-wielding green bastards. They throw cleavers whilst the brown git just runs around trying to stab you. Leaving the loading bay, we enter the museum itself, which consists of more Chop Goblins which quickly get shot to hell. Eventually we find the exit, which leads us to the next level. The Chop Goblins have escaped the museum and are now wreaking havoc throughout the city, and we must give chase. The level also introduces the Grandma Goblin that we've already talked about. Leaving the museum, we see that the goblins have chopped down a building, and we must stop them. Searching the car park, we find coins, ammos, and random smoke cloud that had some shotgun shells. Moving through the back alleys, we commit some minor acts of vandalism. And this area here is where shit gets real, as if you move closer to the garage door, it opens and this building blows up. And the Chop Goblin behind this corner attack, and this means you can easily be overwhelmed. So how does one deal with this? Well, backtracking a little, we can go through this door, allowing us to move through this basement, which brings us behind the earlier Chop Goblins. Once the ambush has been dealt with, we can move up this ladder, get this key, open this door in this garage, giving us access to all this nice ammunition. Continuing on, we enter a massive car park full of goblins, and if that's not enough, the wall explodes, releasing this dickhead. A car being driven by some goblins, but here's where stuff gets fun, as if you don't destroy the little gremlins, they will follow you everywhere, including inside buildings, but we can use this to our advantage. We can use it to reach this weapon, and break out of the map.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
But ultimately, this car is going to be an issue, and as the self-appointed CEO of Chop Goblin City Police Department, I don't think Chop Goblins have rights and thus can't drive cars, so I dealt with them reasonably. Moving through the city and not getting jump scared by hidden goblins, we find this button that opens a back alley that leads us to some ply cutters. Returning through the hole in the wall, we can find an entrance to the subway which has been blocked off by a fence, which is now removable thanks to those ply cutters. Entering the subway, we see the Chop Goblins have opened up a time portal, because of course they have, and we enter the portal after them, which leads us to the next level. We arrive at Dracula's castle and realise the goblins plan to use Dracula's power to aid them. This level also introduces a dog enemy, which consists of being a dog and lunge attacks. Moving through Dracula's castle, we find ourselves in a large chamber where we must fight our way up to the platform where we can flip a switch opening this door, which releases goblins who are quickly dealt with. We find we have 3 possible ways to go. One leads us to the living area, which leads outside where some goblins are riding broomsticks, then onto a chamber with a lever that leads us inside back to the original chamber. The second way is more direct. To the lever, and the third one takes us to a strange room where a health pack and ammunition sits in the centre. What the fuck? After flipping the lever, we head downstairs to the depths of the castle to recover 3 masks. As we move through the tunnels, the game goes from doom to total chaos, because in these confined spaces, the walls begin to look like enemies and the main protagonist even turns on a torch for light. It's not goblins we find down here, but much tougher demon dogs, and in tight spaces like this, they're hard to kill. And F's in the chat for those on goblin mode. Finding all 3 masks, we place them onto the wall which raises the bridge, and we descend down into Dracula's chambers. Following a trail of ammunition, we enter a sleeping chamber, and then he appears.
What is the Sesame Street number of the day? Let's count the bets and find out!
Once Dracula shows up, he starts singing like he's on the set of the Muppets, and it honestly feels like Will.i.am's going to appear and start singing.
Head up high, keep on reaching high.
Out of this existential nightmare!
Dracula attacks by throwing literal bats at you, so if you keep back, you can pop him full of stakes, and once he's dead, another time portal takes you away to level 4. Arriving in ancient Greece, you realise that with the loss of Dracula, the Chop Goblins are now after the staff of Corphinaces? A staff that goes boom. Leaving the cave and looting the beach, we can flip a lever to enter the Greek city, and following in the steps of Kratos himself, kill everything that moves, including the level's new enemy, the big choppers. They're like the little green pricks, except bigger, redder, and instead of throwing cleavers, they throw about 30,000 axes. Flicking another lever, we can move further through the city, and after navigating some jump pads, find your way to the wand, which is locked behind a door that requires a code. Now the code is located behind these pillars, and once half the code is found, you can flick randomly until you hit the right code, or be a true Chad and flick randomly until you get it. Entering the temple, we can grab the wand, and if the shotgun turned the game into a smooth slide, the wand turns it into a point and click, where whenever you come up against goblins, all you gotta do is this. Look in their vague direction and the wand won't just kill them, but every enemy in the local area, even if they're not in the same room. Once the wand is used to eliminate the approaching goblins, we are transported into the game's final level. You find yourself in a timeline that could be your future where you're in a future where the goblins have already won, and you grab your boomstick for the final battle. The last goblin of the game introduced is the Hack Goblin, which is a grimy future cyborg goblin. The Cleaver Goblin, except taller, stronger, throws lasers, and oh yeah, there's fucking thousands of them. Appearing in the capital of Choppingrad, you move through the main facility where you must shut off the shield generator and fight your way through the goblins. Shutting down the shield generator, you move through the facility where, after fighting the population of Italy, you find Goblin God, who we shoot. And that's the game. you get this end screen and access to New Game Plus. You also get a look at the game's leaderboard where you can see how many coins you and your friends have collected, but unfortunately, I don't have any friends. The game does have some replay value, as I've played the game at least 8 times and keep finding new secrets. There's other ways to play the game, such as knife only runs or no damage runs. You could try and get all the achievements, which means playing through the game in Goblin mode, which is nothing less than a cruel joke made by Satan himself, as even if you collect every weapon and upgrade, and oh yeah, you can get upgrades such as a holy knife, and after flipping this lever, jumping down to the bridge, you can also get a flintlock speed reload. Even with these upgrades, you don't stand a chance in Goblin mode, as it doubles Goblin numbers and their health gets a boost. There's also sightseeing mode, where you can look through the levels without a UI or threat of dying, unless you're achievement hunting. You could also play through the game a few times to find alternating routes or its many secret rooms. So that's it. So that's my take on Chopped Goblins. It's a good game with lots of secrets, and feel free to share the details you guys found down below. And until next time. Oh, and be sure to support the game's creator!